It's fat.
It's fat.
Fat literature.
The Chilean writer José Donoso argues that every novel, like a person, has a particular biography, unique and distinct from other. Do you agree? What is the particular biography of Song of the Water Saints, your novel?
Well, for me, it's an emotional biography, as well as a historic one. So what I wanted to do was sort of chart my own, the point in time at which I came to be within history, what my context was. I think a lot of times we read history and we think that history is separate from us, that it has nothing to do with us. But when you start going backwards, like what if Columbus hadn't gotten on the ship? Would I be here, you know, in New York City, in Brooklyn? So it's sort of going backwards from those questions.
Hi. As you all know, February 27th is Dominican Independence. So I thought I'd read a snippet from the novel about a scene that takes place during Carnaval. And this is set in 1921, and Graciela comes home from a long journey. She's been very bad. The month of Carnaval culminated with the townspeople gathered at the river to celebrate the Republic's independence from Haiti almost 80 years prior. Hordes of iridescent children dressed as devils and painted in traditional blackface romped by the water. They playfully beat the chaste and sinful alike with inflated dried cow stomachs. Beads, ribbons, whistles, cowbells, and tiny dolls that had been ripped from their costumes during the horseplay littered the riverbank. A few feet upstream, Graciela kept an eye on her daughter Mercedes's blue horns as she herself sat with a group of women, Mai, Celeste, and Santa among them. Everyone had shown up to celebrate. And though Graciela knew she had been a target for gossip in the previous weeks, the smoky aroma of pig roasts and the hollow sound of skins alongside the children's laughter had inevitably lightened her spirits. Some of the men were already lost to rum and drum into stands. This year, Graciela preferred to simply watch the dancing. Her increasingly achy joints might keep her shoulders from rolling in their sockets, might sour the sugar in her hip bones. Graciela closed her eyes. Mai had removed her handkerchief and was braiding her hair. Sure, Mai's face always looked as if she were chewing steel, but the tenderness in Mai's fingers made Graciela feel like a child again. Graciela, you got no naps in a plantation, Celeste said, tucking a yellow flower into the puffs of hair yet to be braided. I'm tired of your hair talk, Celeste, Graciela said. She tried to throw a patch of grass at Celeste, but Mai's grip kept her head steady. The conversation strolled to hair oils, to men, to ailments, to food, to clothing, to memories, to men. Carnaval's been so nice this year. No stupid Yankees trying to pull us up, Santa's teenage daughter piped up. I'm tired of Yankee talk, Graciela said with a drawn-out sigh and a stretch. The Mai tight braids made her forehead glow. There's not much to those sons of bitches. As well she should know, right, Ma? The girl replied quickly and turned to Santa. Graciela pretended not to hear the little bitch's underhanded remark and decided not to lash out because the poor girl had shocking skin, bad liver skin, sacred brown skin disrupted by splotches of pink. Instead, Graciela busied herself brushing some fallen hairs from her shoulders. Thank you.
Well, I think that writing books is wonderful, but there's a component to that, which is reading them.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's one thing if there's great books, but what if those books aren't distributed? What if people don't read them? And so I was wondering, I think I just became aware as a teacher that it's not just that wonderful books get written. We also need to read them. And how do we get those books? How do we know what wonderful books are out there to read? So as a translator, I can discover new books. I can share them with an English-speaking audience. And as a book critic, it gives me an opportunity to let people know about books maybe they wouldn't find otherwise. So I think that in the literary community, our responsibility is not only to produce books, but also to share them.
Yeah,
so
that's good. You answered to when we were having a conversation. You said that what inspired you in your own work and in the poems that you were drawn to translate is the difficulty in the relationship, whether they be between two people, two cultures, between the past and the present, or between social classes. Tell us a little more about that. Tell us about your own work and about this difficulty of relationships.
Well, I think sometimes in the university there are certain books that are easier to teach. Maybe because, as Nelly was saying, that there are certain things when you are sort of in the cobwebby corners, or there are things that are difficult to talk about. Well, if they're difficult to talk about and they're difficult to write about, they're also difficult to teach. But I think that it's important that, and they're also difficult to translate. But I think that that makes them even more important. And so that's why I think when we talk about, well, how do we talk about classism in literature in this country? How do we talk about classism in universities that are classist? Well, how do you do that? And so I think that as a translator, as a writer, those are important things that I try to be aware of and to incorporate in the decisions I make as a writer.
This first poem is by a Chilean poet named Elvira Hernandez, and it's called The Chilean Flag. One measures the Chilean flag in square meters, its smell with twitches of the nose, its edges of light and shadow with eyes that don't see, its diarrheas with patience, the constructions of malnutritioned confidence. The Chilean flag is strung between two buildings. Its material inflates like an ulcerated belly. It falls like an old breast, like a circus tent, with its legs in the air. It has a little track in the middle, a little snatch for air, a little hole for General O'Higgins' ashes, an eye for Avenida General Bulnes. The Chilean flag is left to the side, forgotten. It is a foreigner in its own country. It doesn't have a citizen card. It's not the majority. Nobody recognizes it now. The prolonged facts gave it the thumbprint of death. The churches gave it the extreme unction, leagues of streamers and trumpet calls. The Chilean flag strives to be more than a flag.